time for some playoff predictions. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It is great to be here with all of you today. It is Friday, the 8th of January, 2021, 11:30 on the East Coast. As always, you're alongside my co-host, Gavin Tony. Gavin, how are you doing today?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of the week. I'm tired. Okay, I'm severely tired today. Zach, we were just talking. I think I need a nap. But all in all, I'm good. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Weekend's here. Zach, last weekend I beat you in golf. This weekend, I know you're going to recover. But how you doing?
Doing all right. A little tired, as you pointed out. But you know what? We got a fun show in store for you all today. We have some Sixers big news, of course, that we're going to have to break down. Of course, also recapping the game from yesterday. And then second half of the show, we're going to spend some time doing some NFL predictions. A lot of big games, 6 games this weekend that we're going to predict, as well as get some different bold takes on. Yes, the Cleveland Browns are expected to play on Sunday. We'll break that down and more. But other than that, Gavin, are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started. And Zach, it's funny. We only have one. Well, I only have one class today, and I'm done. And I'm beat. I don't know how. I didn't do anything this morning. I'm beat already. But let's get it. I got some energy for you guys. Let's get going.
Yeah, for sure. I got one class. It's not until after this, but we'll all have some fun with it. Get to it. But
first, we can't go to work no more because of how early things are. But yeah,
for sure. But the first thing we're going to break down today, of course, the Sixers fall to the Nets yesterday. Not too much to be worried about. Just they looked tired early. Of course, some news broke after the first quarter, which could have threw them off a little bit. They tried to come back at the end. Some bright spots. Tyrese Maxey looked pretty good. Again, Gavin, you're not going to go undefeated. 7-2 is still the best record in the NBA. Not much to be worried about as of right now. Again, if it becomes a pattern, you start getting worried. But at the moment, the Sixers are not an issue.
Zach, I liked this loss last night. Why? You need to be humbled every now and then. You said it best on Twitter. Every now and then, you have to be reminded, like, hey, yes, 5-game win streak, that's nice. Yes, you overcame some adversity in those 5 games. But it's nice to get knocked down every once in a while, Zach. I'll say it. It really is nice. The Brooklyn Nets humbled the Sixers yesterday without their stars. Now, that goes to show that Brooklyn has a deep bench and arguably the best bench in the NBA. Zach, Joe Harris gave them, 6 threes? You can't make this up. Now, when it comes to the Sixers, I'm not worried, Zach, at all. This loss was needed. We know the Sixers were going to slack off because that's what they always do. When the other teams are playing their best guys, they always slack off in games like this happen. It just becomes a trend. I'll feel some type of way. But, I mean, Shake Milton, 24, Tyrese Maxey, 17. They were scoring. They were trying to come back, but it was too little too late at the end of the game.
Just wasn't their night. That's how basketball works sometimes. That's why their series are not one games usually in the playoffs. Unlike football, it's one of those things, especially on back-to-backs. It's going to be tough. I'm not giving excuses for the players, but hopefully Doc Rivers is able to sit down with the team, reflect with them, learn. Because, yeah, it's good to get humbled every now and then because I think it's important, especially by a team that you really should beat. Again, coming off of a tough win against Washington on a back-to-back, dropping over 140-plus points. It's going to be tough. And we saw that last night, especially early.
It's like that was one of the worst games I've ever seen from Ben Simmons in his whole entire career as a Sixer. I just have to say. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, he still gave us 11 points. Zach, the expectation was higher. Obviously, Joel Embiid played for us last night, but that was can we just say that was one of the worst? Because he plays a game and he has a horrible performance, and the James Harden rumors come back. Trade Ben Simmons to James Harden right now. Relax. James Harden, Ben Simmons can't have one bad game, but James Harden can have 15 bad games. And guess what? The narrative will still be trade for James Harden. I don't get it, Zach. I really don't. Why would you get rid of a talent that great off of one game? I mean, Zach, there's a lot of people that have bad one games. Steph Curry had a bad game. You don't see the Warriors trying to trade him away. You don't see Warriors fans saying, oh, trade Steph Curry away. He had a bad game. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I don't either. Again, I'm a big Ben Simmons fan, and yes, it was one of the worst performances I've seen from him last night. They're expected to play on Saturday. We're not sure if they will due to some reasons we'll slide into in just a minute, but just not the best night overall. They had some open looks early that just didn't knock down, and then the momentum just kind of went in Brooklyn's favor. we'll have to see how they continue to potentially climb back from that. The Nets, of course, drawn back with the old uniforms last night. Kind of cool to see on their court. But with that being said, Gavin, we'll get into some other breaking news, which came out early this morning, very early, that Seth Curry had tested positive for the coronavirus. He was alerted that in the first quarter, was removed from the scene and was sent into isolation. And now I believe Joel Embiid is in self-isolation. A few other guys that have been noted as close contacts. And the whole team is right now stuck in Brooklyn. Look, baseball early on had a lot of cases. Football early on, yes, now have had a lot of big cases. This is expected to happen. I'm not that worried. The NBA is not shutting down. Everyone relax. Of course, this virus starting to be taken seriously. Fortunately for a lot of athletes, because of their health, they're able to bounce back a little better, and that's obviously the big concern. At the end of the day, you have to protect their teammates, protect their families. They're all in isolation right now in New York. I don't think they're going to play tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll identify the close contacts and send the rest of the team down to Philly against Denver. But at the moment, I don't know. There's still a lot of information coming out. Of course, Seth Curry out at least 10 days until he has a double negative test. It could be a false positive. It could be, fortunately, something like that, but it's unlikely because I believe they've done multiple tests at this point. Gavin, what are some of your first thoughts after this news broke this morning?
Well, my first thoughts is this is going to happen, Zach. Things like this are going to happen. That's the year 2020, and some of the 2020 effects are in 2021 still. Something's going to happen, Zach. It's about how you're able to deal with it, it's how you're able to continue to work, and it's how you're able to roll with the punches. Zach, you're playing the Denver Nuggets tomorrow. I don't think that game happens the team's stuck in Brooklyn. They can't leave yet. What are you going to do? This is something you can't just automatically, all right, you, go home, get ready for Denver. No, you have to be serious. Zach, Don brought up an interesting point to me off the show, and he goes, do you really believe that the NBA went a full 3 months in a bubble with not one case? And I thought about it. And I said, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Everybody's on the island. But I can see where Dom's coming from. But it's possible. It's possible they could have did that. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you watched any one of the vlogs. They get tested every time they step out the room. Every day is a closed environment. They control what comes in and what comes out. Do I believe it? Yes. Is it wrong? I don't know. But the reason I bring it up is now that they're outside of the bubble and the brilliant mind of Adam Silver, I'm curious to see how he plays this off. Will we be seeing some cancellations? Will there be some pushbacks? I mean, Zach, some teams have to play back-to-backs. Tests are also going to come back that quick, unless you magically get it right, get your test automatically. But we know how inaccurate that could be. I'm curious to see. There's a time where Adam Silver has to step up and show what he's going to do this year. Be right now. You got the best team in the East, record-wise, and right now they look like they could be down for a little bit. So,
no doubt. Of course, it's going to be pivotal. Again, it's going to happen. You had Kevin Durant, obviously, with a close contact. The Nets ended up playing a couple games after that. Of course, Kyrie Irving out for personal reasons. We're still learning to figure out some more. Obviously, wishing him the best, but he did not play last night. The Sixers falling 109-122 against the Brooklyn Nets. They are expected to play tomorrow at home against the Denver Nuggets. We will have that covered, assuming that it does play. Otherwise, of course, we'll have to see how the schedule gets moved around for the Sixers. A game has not yet to be moved around or canceled this year, so we'll see how that can continue to roll out. Another criticism that the NBA has received as well is that they do get tested before the game, but the results don't come back to the first quarter or so. So it's possible that you're on that bench. Of course, they're 6 feet apart for the most part. They have their mask on for the most part. But it does appear that there's a possibility that you can get tested and go out there and then a positive can come back like it did last night. Gavin, do you see some potential flaws in the current NBA methodology?
Yes, and you got to figure it out because right now that's just as bad as Justin Turner going, what was that, 7 innings strong, and then, oh, you're positive. You got to get out the game. You can't do that. Everything has to be done before I step on to the field or I step onto the court. Zach, same thing with Des Bryant. Got all the way to warm-ups. He got all the way to warm-ups, and he's positive now. That mind blows me. You have to be able to figure all this stuff out before the players get into their job, their workforce. Because once they're there, then you're putting everybody at risk. That was the problem. That was what we saw with Des Bryant. We saw this in baseball. We're seeing in the NBA. I don't get it. I'm curious to see how the NHL is going to play this out.
And on top of all that, Washington Wizards, they played Seth Curry the other night. Obviously, no mask. You're playing basketball. I mean, he was probably pretty convinced at that point, assuming he was positive. NBA's got to figure out a few things. If I'm the NBA, I pause those games for 3 days, all isolation, and then whoever's negative is allowed out. Whoever's positive, of course, has to stay in. That's kind of been the ideal number, 3 days or so. But the 10-day quarantine, of course, at least up to 14. The Denver Nuggets are also dealing with a few problems. Michael Porter Jr., who's also been in quarantine, that has been extended since. So it might be best for both teams, honestly, to move this game. I expect it to be moved, especially considering it's not in division or in conference game. It's a cross-conference play.
See, Zach, what you could also do, too, is this. If you cancel this game, because it's not like the Sixers play the Nuggets yet, you cancel this game, like, all right, when the Sixers travel to Denver, you do a back-to-back or meet in the middle or something. Maybe, I mean, you suck because you lose your home game if you're the Sixers, but there's a way to figure it out. There's going to be a back-to-back or some sort. Or meet in a neutral location for both teams to call it fair or even. Or, I don't know.
I mean, there's no fans this year, too, so that helps.
That's true.
So I think for sure we'll have to see how it plays out. But that covers our NBA. Coming up after this, NFL playoff predictions. Yes, the Browns are still playing Sunday. They just played a lot of their team and their head coach being out for the game. Can Baker Mayfield put this team on their back against, according to Gavin, the overrated Steelers, and of course their record 12-4, potential record show for it. We'll break all that down after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show, just covering the NBA as well as the Sixers with the breaking news that Seth Curry had tested positive for the coronavirus, and the Philadelphia 76ers are currently quarantining in Brooklyn right now. I believe they're at their hotel, but no official word has come out for the NBA for some of the potential games this weekend. Of course, the Washington Wizards also playing the other night in close contact with Seth Curry the entire game, as he did play that night. So, Gavin, we'll continue to cover that, see what happens, how it plays out, break it down next week. But it's finally the playoffs in the NFL, and yes, while the Philadelphia Eagles are not in, it doesn't mean we can't sit back, relax, and enjoy some of these games.
Yeah, Cowboys fans, tell me how this works. I don't know how this works. Tell me how this works, Cowboys fans. I'm confused.
Staying at home.
Do I get to eat during the game? I don't know how this works. It's all new to me.
Yeah, for sure. We've been in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. And of course, this year you're missing out 3 years in a row for the Eagles, including a Super Bowl victory, a divisional appearance, and then, of course, the wild card one and done last year. But, Gavin, let's start with it. The Bills and the Colts in Buffalo with fans. The Colts barely got in on the last day of the season because the Miami Dolphins dropped the loss to Buffalo. Buffalo's look like the best team in the NFL the last few weeks. I'm taking Buffalo, and this one's 33-26. I think it's a slow start for them, but I think they really pick it up in the second half.
I'm going 31-21. Zach, here's why. Buffalo's look like the best team in the past 6 weeks. Don't disagree with you on that. They've been blowing every team out, been being blown out. But if you look at how things are going on with this team and just as a whole, Josh Allen's on another level. He has confidence. He's throwing to everybody. It doesn't have to be Stephon Diggs, who has an oblique injury right now, so everything's up in the air. It doesn't have to be Cole Beasley, who's hurt with a knee right now, so it's up in the air. Isaiah McKenzie, John Brown's back. And then the run game, and don't get me started about the Bills defense. And now, Zach, the top it all, you're letting Bills Mafia into the game. Bills, easily. Just give me the Bills.
Let's see how it works out at Orchard Park this weekend. Again, that game is the first one this weekend, tomorrow at 1:05. The next game, the Los Angeles Rams and Seattle Seahawks. It is unlikely Jared Goff plays. Very unfortunate for this team to really get the short end of the stick as they got banged up at the very end of the year. The Rams look like one of the best teams in the NFC halfway through the season. I'm taking Seattle on this one. I think it will be close because Seattle plays down to their opponents, but I think Seattle will pull through.
I'm going to go with the Rams this week, Zach. Something tells me that just because Jared Goff is out, I mean, you saw their defense in Week 17 versus, even though Kyler Murray was banged up and didn't play and there was a backup, that was a horrible game if you're a quarterback, if you're a guy that like watching quarterbacks. But that defense is still there. Aaron Donald, you got paid big money and you got mad when you lost to the Jets. Show me something. Jalen Ramsey, I get it. DK Metcalf, that's gonna be a good one. Zach, get your popcorn ready. All right, this defense is still here. This offense has pieces. If you can get them the ball, I'm pretty sure something can work out. I think they're going to be stacking the box a little bit more because the quarterback's not trustworthy to throw. But to say that the Rams are going to lose the Seahawks, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams comes out. I'm going to the Rams. There's no 12th man this year. Give me the Rams.
I think that for them, it's their third appearance this year against each other. Of course, splitting the season series. So how that plays out is going to be a big factor. Of course, no fans as well. So could be good for the young quarterback who's potentially going to be starting this weekend. The next game on our list, thanks to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington football team are able to host a home playoff game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. This game could potentially have an upset. For the record, any team that's ever made the playoffs under 500 is undefeated in the wild card round. 10 years ago today was the Beastquake run. Before that below 500 Seahawks team against the defending champion New Orleans Saints. But I do think the Buccaneers will take care of business. I do think that their defense will be dominant. I think their offense will do enough to be able to get the job done. But Chase Young is pretty scary. That defensive front cannot be slept on.
Zach, you got a standing statue as your quarterback. And we saw how badly this defensive line gets after quarterbacks that especially don't move. Zach, the thing with the Buccaneers is you have to be able to run the football. They don't run the football. When was the last time we saw Ronald Jones? You got Leonard Fournette. You got Shady McCoy. You got productive running backs, especially Ronald Jones. I get your wide receiver core. I get Mike Evans is going to play. I get Chris Godwin's there. I get Antonio Brown is somewhat playing fair and playing nice to his teammates. So he made it, okay, Zach. He made it to the end of the season. But I could see Washington winning this, and it's all because of the defense. And if Alex Smith can play, and Alex Smith is an inspiration, right, for anybody that doesn't know his story. It's like I watched a little E60 on it on Sunday night. Fantastic guy. But when it comes to this particular game, I can see Washington winning it. And the reason why is because of that defense. They did in Pittsburgh. All right, this defense is legit, Zach. They lost to the Seahawks, but did they really lose? They barely. I mean, they almost won that game. It's like if I remember, Russell Wilson was running for his life, like always. Okay, you go to Arizona and you play against the San Francisco 49ers, and what happens there? Your defense shows up and wins the game, and Alex Smith goes down with injury. Zach, I'm going Washington. I'm going Washington with this one.
They might be 7-9, but they're 5-1 with Alex Smith as a starter. I think that's a cool fact. This team definitely can be on upset alert. The next game on our list are another revenge game for the Ravens versus the Titans, this time in Tennessee. Now, they did play earlier this year. The Titans won it in overtime. The Titans look really good right now, but so do the Ravens. It's going to be a shootout. When shootouts happen, Derrick Henry cannot be a factor. I have to go with the Ravens this week.
Zach, we talked about Lamar Jackson running the table and winning out. He did that, and he did it with his arm too. Zach, he did it with his arm. That was the biggest question we had for him. Can he do it with his arm? Zach, he doesn't have to be a great pocket passing quarterback. He has to be able to trust us. He has to make the throws when needed to. That's what we said about Baker Mayfield. Big trust is on another level, and they found their identity. Zach, they ran for what, 300 yards rushing last week? In the final week with J.K. Dobbins and the crew, and you got Gus Edwards, and I don't know what the hell happened to Mark Ingram, but he's still there at some point. He can bust out whenever he needs to. I'm going with the Ravens, and this defense has picked it up too. That's what no one's talking about. This defense has also stepped it up in a big way.
Look, Baltimore was my favorite going into the season to win the Super Bowl, and there's definitely a path there, but it starts with beating the team that knocked you out last year in the Tennessee Titans. Next game on our list, which I don't even know if it's going to be – it's either going to be really close or a blowout. The New Orleans Saints hosting the Chicago Bears. I don't know. Best defense in the league against a Bears team who was able to limp into the playoffs with a weak schedule. I'm taking New Orleans this week.
I'm going to go to New Orleans just because of the fact of who's on the other side of the ball. And it's not Mitchell Trubisky, it's Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is going to find a way to Matt Nagy this game. Exactly what I mean by that is ruin the chance your team has. You're not going to be able to run the ball with David Montgomery. Now, that means Mitchell Trubisky has to throw. Play action is cute and nice, but after a while, you got to start throwing. You got to air the ball out, like further than what you're doing. Zach, Now the only thing that could keep him in this game is this Bears defense. Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack. All right, we know about the crew. We know about them. But that defense works, but you have to be able to put points on the board for that defense to continue doing this job. Their bend don't break, but Zach, they do break at some points.
They lost to the Packers last week. They did not look good against them. The Bears are not a good football team. Mitch Trubisky has had a nice little string of good games, but they've played some pretty bad defenses, so they're going to have some decisions to make in the offseason. Of course, also owing Nick Foles a good amount of money as well. Next game on our list here is going to be the final one of the week, Sunday at 8:15 p.m. The Cleveland Browns going to Pittsburgh against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the second divisional matchup. Again, a lot of people out for it with COVID. I guess the NFL has no interest in moving this game at this point. I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think that they just have the Browns number, and when you have their Browns number, you're just able to run the table. Really shouldn't have been as close as it was on Sunday when they played. Now you have Ben Roethlisberger back. Whether or not you think it's a big factor, I do think he's an upgrade from Mason Rudolph. And, of course, the Browns are going to be out without a lot of key pieces this week.
Is Nick Chubb still there? Is Kareem Hunt still there? Is Jarvis Landry still there? Baker Mayfield, I know he's there. He's been talking. Zach, run the football, stick to what works, air it out when need to, and there you go. I'm taking the Browns this week. Don't make me regret my decision, Zach. Please don't, Baker Mayfield. Please do not do that. I haven't picked Baker Mayfield a lot this year. And that defense fell off. Please, the one time I picked the Browns, I need it this week. I'm going with the Browns. I'm going to go 28. I might just go 28-27.
20-27. All right, very close game. Of course, their third time playing. They also split the season series. So we'll have to see how these games play out. Again, it looks like this game is going to be staying where it is. I guess Stefanski's going to be coaching via Zoom. That's going to be a fun one to watch. But
I mean, hey, if it works, right?
And then, of course, next week, the lower seeds that do come out of this week will be going up against Kansas City and Green Bay in their respective conferences. We'll continue to cover that. And, of course, on Monday, Ohio State and Alabama play each other. That will be a fun one. Finally, for today, Gavin, some of the projections have come out for the NBA MVP. And LeBron James currently leads the list in a couple of these. I do want to read his stats: 24.2 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Gavin, what are some of your first thoughts on hearing that?
Oh, wow. That's that Drake meme, Zach. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but that's that Drake meme. If anyone got that reference, let me know. But listen, Zach, okay, cool, whatever. 0 for 5 and when in primetime last night when needed to loses to the Spurs last night. Okay, cool, got it. That's not my MVP pick, Zach. Kevin Durant is still here. Yes, it's going to be a little while. I guess you could say LeBron might be. I mean, it's projected number one. But how about the hometown hero? How about Joel Embiid? Is he not getting any credit? Is that what we're doing right now? I mean, Zach, I'm going with Joel Embiid as the actual MVP as of right now. I have to.
All right. I mean, look, I would root for that all the way. I think Joel Embiid has been playing well. Of course, last night still managed to pull up 22 points despite a lost cause of a game. But we'll see how it plays out. There's a lot more basketball to come. There's a lot more sports to come. On Monday, we'll be having a very exciting show recapping all that had happened over the weekend, projections for the next week, and then, of course, I pointed out earlier, Monday night, an exciting game, Ohio State and Alabama. Everyone, thanks so much for watching this week. We know a couple of shows have been a little bit all over the place as the world seems to have been all week. But, look, stay together, unite through sports, do what you can to help. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday.
Have a good one, everybody. Zach, let's go Browns, right?
I hope so. Look, I hope. But I still think it's not possible with as many players they're missing. Let's see what happens.
I mean, if you run the football, it don't matter. If you run the football, we saw what they did last week, Zach. That defense. All right, before we go, real quick, Zach, Minkah Fitzpatrick was playing last Sunday. So was T.J. Watt, and so was a couple others. So I'm going with the Browns still. Give me 200 yards on the ground.
All right, easily the best running back duo in the league. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.